Hello.
Oh, hello.
Evening.
Hello. How is everyone?
Fantastic.
Oh.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah,
How are you, Mr. Barrow?
Yeah.
I think we had one viewer, and then when it went live, he went.
Probably went, fuck this, it's Friday, we can't be bothered. Welcome everybody to Frightners. Tonight, as you notice, we have got the lovely Ian, Dan, Viv, and we've been joined by Bri. Well, he actually never had a choice, it was kind of kidnap as well. Tonight we're going to be talking about Ghost Hauntings of War. So you can talk among yourselves and I'll do the sharing.
Evening, Annette.
Hi, Nettie.
Evening.
So how's everyone speak?
I'm being good.
So am I.
Boring.
War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again.
Evening, London.
So you want to talk about apparitions during the war, yeah? Or from wars?
Well, ghost hauntings, same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I know there's been lots of crisis apparitions that appeared during, particularly the First World War. I don't know about the Second World War. I'm not too up on that regards hauntings. But during the First World War, there was said to be a lot of people that had visitations from their loved ones that were actually in crisis. They'd either died at that minute or they died slightly earlier. There's one particular one. Hey, Nick!
How's it going, guys?
There's one particular one that I know of, and it's still relevant today. It still goes on today as far as I know. It did do up a couple of years ago. There's a pub over by St Albans way, well, Harpenden actually. Can't think of the name of it. It's a small pub, and it's often said that people have woke up in the little tiny room upstairs there, and they've been confronted by a soldier in First World War uniform. A young lad. Hi, Dave. Who just stands there and looks at them continually, but he obviously he doesn't acknowledge them, but he's their presence is relevant to him. He knows that they're there, so it's kind of an intelligent haunting that goes on, but he turns slightly and disappears. So I don't know if that would be counted as, I mean, it probably happened during a crisis initially, but I don't know if that's just an ongoing and continual thing.
That time goes by, ain't you, Dan?
What was that?
You've been watching too much of that as time goes by.
As time goes, I've never. What's that? What's that? As time goes by?
Is that what it's called? I can't remember. With Lindsay off Only Fools. Yeah. That one where he keeps going back to.
Oh, Good Night, Sweetheart.
Oh, Good Night, Sweetheart.
Good night.
That's the one.
Good Night, Sweetheart. Yeah.
Evening.
Hiya, William. Hiya, Dave. Hiya, Christine.
Here's a question for you guys, right? It's one question that sometimes you see in the paranormal world, right? But what are you guys' opinions on investigators investigating somewhere like, say, the one in Poland?
Auschwitz.
What's your opinion
I
on
think
investigating places like that?
Some places just shouldn't be tampered with. I don't think they should.
Hey, Jason.
Too many lives are lost in places like that. But yeah, individual stuff. I've done one investigation where I had some activity from a chap that died in First World War, and then there's also what I mentioned the other night at top of Lancet with bombers that were doing training runs for bouncing bomb. There's activity up there all the time, especially at certain times of year when they were actually doing these runs. This servicemen being seen up there, as well as crew just laid on grass outside at wreckage. I've not witnessed it myself in that respect, apart from a noise, and I couldn't see anything, but it was really, really low, flew over my head, and it was definitely that hum that only a Lancaster can give. You know, this is distinctive sound, isn't it? So yeah, I've heard that. The other one, I was doing an investigation in a local church, and I could smell mustard gas. Could smell this very musty mustard gas. And then this chap says, "I'm down here."
It's Parker.
So we walked down this path, and I was trying to find his grave, and he were telling me that he'd succumbed to this mustard gas on his chest and whatever, and passed away. And as we rounded this tree, everybody else could smell this gas as well, and I managed to find his grave, which were quite good.
Can I just mention about Auschwitz?
Yeah, good.
Now,
Yes.
I went to Auschwitz for personal reasons. I had to go to a certain part of Auschwitz that a friend of the family who was actually operated on by Mengele. Anyway, long story. I had to go to Auschwitz and I had to pay my respects for him and others that died in the Holocaust. And I went to Birkenau. So I went both parts of Auschwitz, and I went to Birkenau, and I am a spiritualist medium. Okay, so going there, whether I wanted to investigate it, when I say investigate, it defines what you mean by investigating. I went on a private tour, and I went in through the back gates rather than through the front gates that everybody else goes in. And the minute I stepped in through those back gates, I was hit with a wave of heaviness that I have never, ever experienced in my life before. I was, and I think not just me as a sensitive anyway, but my husband even, we could not walk through that place without periodically bursting into tears. And I would look at a tree and start crying. It's got nothing to do with the crematoria or looking at certain things that they had on display there. It was the fact you were there and you felt what happened. Even my husband, he's not sensitive. He's as sensitive as a brick and doesn't believe in ghosts or anything like that. Even he had that wave that came across him. So when people say about going to Auschwitz and investigating that, it depends on what you mean by investigating. I didn't bring any paranormal equipment. I just bought myself. I bought flowers and I bought a candle. Flowers were to lay on the memorial for the British that died over there, and also because of my relative. I'm going to say relative, they're a close friend of the family, and also just to acknowledge what went on there. So did I investigate it? Maybe. In some eyes I did, because I went to visit there. You go and visit and you're learning about other parts of what happens there at Auschwitz that a lot of people don't realise. And that's a form of investigation. So it depends on what you mean investigate. Did I take a torch? Yes, I did, because there were some darkened areas that we went into. So I had to light them up to see where I was going. Did I do any voice recordings there? No. Did I take an EMF meter there? No. Because that would have been, to me, inappropriate. But it just defined what you mean by investigating. I mean, lots of people have different theories on that one. The very fact that I went in there, and I'm a spiritualist medium, and I did have some messages given to me there that were never put out there publicly. Is that investigating? I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't say that I would go there with an intent to pull out a K2 meter or an EMF meter. I think that would be wrong, because there are still people that survived the Holocaust that still go there, as I experienced when I was there. There was a man that identified one of these cases, and But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up about Auschwitz, because I think that's a place where Holocaust happens to this day. We've not learned anything, and it still happens. And that place should be kept open as a museum to remind people this is what we should be not doing, as opposed to what's happening in the rest of the world. But that's just
I don't think what you did constitutes investigative. I think if that's your ability, and you pick message up from the dead, you're going to get that anywhere. So that's you can't communicate, you can't cut that off.
No.
So when people go in there with all sorts of equipment and make a circus out of it,
That's wrong. Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's wrong. By all means, go there and pay your respects. If you get messages, you get messages. You can't help that, but just don't take equipment with you.
No.
I think with things like that, it's
there was
got to be why you're investigating it. There's got to be a legitimate reason, isn't there?
Right.
Yeah,
There
definitely.
was a website I came across. This guy was a paranormal investigator, but I don't think he was actually real. I mean, maybe in some way, again, maybe he was investigating, but he didn't bring really any of his equipment with. In fact, the only thing that he actually brought with, which he wasn't really using for an actual paranormal investigation, was just a camera, taking pictures of different areas of Auschwitz. And he was not intentionally trying to get spirit photography, but when he developed later, and this was like about almost 20 years ago now. So when he got the pictures later developed, he actually did capture at least one or two figures, which he believed were the victims, because one was standing right near one of the bed, like the bunk bed areas, and then there was another that was kind of standing out near the entrance. Good to see her, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
It was so he is, and just the way how they looked dressed, they looked like prisoners. So he had no intention whatsoever to get anything, but it's just like what you said, Dan. If you get a message from him, you get a message. That's beyond our control, obviously.
What did he do with the pictures, Nick? What did he do with the pictures? Did he publish the pictures or keep them?
The pictures are still up. I can't remember what website. It was a number of years ago. But if I do find them, though, I'll send them to you guys.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he used them for any particular business.
But then they said that about other places you could go and investigate. Look at Gettysburg. How many thousands and thousands of people died there? And people now still go and investigate Gettysburg. I mean, Nick will know more about Gettysburg than me, but we have sites over here. Should we be investigating them where people gave up their lives? Is it right? Is it wrong? I think it's up to the individuals. And again, I can't say to Dan, oh, you better not go to Rougham and investigate that airfield because the plane crashed there and all these people died. That's got to be Dan's prerogative, surely. It shouldn't be up to anyone. If Dan wants to go and do that, then that's up to Dan. If Dan wants to go to Auschwitz and take lots of photos, then that's up to Dan. I don't think it should be up to anyone. We've got our own mind. We're all individuals and adults, and I think
I've seen some investigators that really do push the boundaries, and I think not particularly on something like Auschwitz and that, but there was that case in America. I can't remember the guy. Oh, he was a bastard, evil bastard, and he had two beautiful little girls and a beautiful wife.
Chris Watt? Chris Watt? It's Chris Watt. Is that the one that strangled his wife and children?
That's him. That's the bastard. That's the one. He killed his wife, two beautiful little children, little girls, and then he deposited their bodies. He took them to work and I don't know what he done. He put two of the girls somewhere and the mother somewhere else. They retrieved the bodies. But there's a really well-known ghost hunter in the States. He's got a YouTube channel. And he's got quite an ardent following on there. And he said, and it was clear that he wasn't, he said that he was going to the house to lay down some flowers.
He's blowing a kiss to Mary, sorry.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So he went to the house to lay down some flowers, which I thought was quite nice, but I knew it wouldn't end there. And as he's walked away, he went, oh, there's somebody in that house. So then he's got a camera out and he's got the kit out, and I'm thinking you had every intention of doing what you're doing, and he just made a show out of it, and I thought it was just completely disrespectful. So there are, it's still too fresh.
Yeah.
That was my point, Dan. That if you're doing it purely to investigate, that's one thing, but to exploit a thing like that, it's totally wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, really, who really in their everyday life as investigators carries all their gear with them and decides, have it attached to your hand 24/7? as much as it would be great to have it, you know, I mean, I've worked in some nursing homes. I've told them what I've done, and they've been like, "Oh, can you bring in your gear and investigate?" I'm like, "No,
Not
I'm
there.
not doing an investigation right in the middle of a
Oh.
live nursing home."
Yeah, I've got
You know-
a boot full, so that'd be easy to carry around, wouldn't it?
I just thought of another thing too, like about some of these places that, oh, good to see you, Kelly.
Hello,
some of
Kelly.
these-
Are you,
some-
Kelly?
as far as locations go, especially when it's just like when they just go to exploit it. If you guys, and I'm sure you guys are going to know this all too well, I think another unfortunately classic example of something like that was, you guys remember a few weeks ago, after when obviously when the Queen passed away, there was that guy that put that YouTube channel up and had that video. That was just messed up.
That guy pisses me off to some tune, because, do you know, funny enough, right? I watch different things on YouTube, right? You wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I watched, right?
Hollywood.
And there was no
Red
comment.
tube.
We're not saying anything.
And one of the guys that I watch, I seen him trying to. It was quite a catchy title, but it was about the paranormal, and I'm thinking that's quite weird because he doesn't usually do paranormal videos. Well, lo and behold, I don't usually talk like this, by the way. Lo and behold, I decided, I'll watch, and who slammed me right in the face? Stephen Huff. And it was about him being able to bring back Meatloaf. That was when Meatloaf died. And I just think, holy shit. And do you know what, guys? I was not surprised. The first thing I said when I heard the Queen died, I turned to my partner and I said, it wasn't like I said, I'm sorry to hear. I said that after. I says, money on it, Stephen Huff will make a video within the next day saying, the Queen came through to me.
That was just, again, I was just as angry about that as I think a lot of you guys were, because that was just disrespectful. And he is basically one of the primary reasons why, us as investigators are getting a bad name. And I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know this already, that guy's Hop. I've also been told that the supposed audio, the responses he gets back, that's been stolen from other investigators, like responses and stuff. It's all fake. It's all staged. So
what I actually heard, Nick, was that he's taking like their voices, finding clips like their voices, and then he's like, I don't know, I'm no high up in the whole tech. I wouldn't know what to do with things like that. But I think there is no way like you can mimic somebody's voice, but be able to record it and put it through.
On the days these people died, all over the radio, you're hearing their voice in interviews and things like that. And he uses radio waves in his machine. So it's obvious you're going to hear that on the day or the day after these people have died. It's just a money-making thing that he's doing. And I'm surprised that he hasn't been taken to court over there and he hasn't been forced to shut down. And I think the sooner paranormal investigators do, the real ones that do get together and take him to court, the less we'll see of Steve Huff. It's just that nobody's done it yet.
And Lois, you actually corrected me on that. So you're right. Yeah, he's taking audio from actual news clips, and that's just disgusting. And I've already been told from a number of investigators that they've been confronting him, and he's just not stopping. I mean, can you imagine how the royal family would feel right now if they discover this? I can't even imagine.
Well, MI6 are on their way.
Send in James Bond.
That's why he's doing the films.
Don't snip the light bulb.
Hi, John. I absolutely love the James Bond films. I was actually over the moon last night because I was looking for something to watch on Amazon Prime. And I know for a while there they did have the James Bond movies, and then it was kind of like, I didn't get to see them on, they disappeared. But they're back on now, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
My cat just tried to sniff a light bulb. It's red hot. and singed his whiskers. Stupid.
Oh, bless him.
Poor John.
No point sniffing a cold one.
Hey, it's Jeremy's
Hi,
on.
Jeremy.
Jeremy's
Hi,
in
Jeremy.
the house.
There's
What?
Jeremy.
Can we just say, guys, a very happy first anniversary to Things
Yes.
Network tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday
Yeah.
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to you.
I am not singing.
Happy birthday to Things Network. Happy birthday to you.
We did it 1 year.
These clips are going to come back and haunt me one day, I can tell.
What's
You don't know
wrong
the
with my
alphabet.
singing? What's wrong with my singing?
No, I'm talking about getting me blinking singing.
Hey, we're
I
gonna
actually
ring.
haven't even done my video yet, but it's actually later tonight. I plan on doing that. That's one of the
Guess
first things
what?
I ever this evening.
Guess what? Even Parker has done a video, and I've seen it.
Oh, really?
Has he really?
Yes. Jeremy will tell you. Jeremy's got it. Dan, where's yours?
I've been away. I didn't realise it was going on.
You could have done it by the sea. You could. Oh, excuses.
What with my kids?
Bless them.
Hi, Robert. But yeah, I did mine this morning. I was like, I forget, like I just send, right, and forget that people are like in their beds or anything like that. I just, because it's an automatic thing, because obviously I'm used to dealing with people from America a lot. So I'm like, yeah, morning. I even did it one morning in my group chat. Like I woke up and there was like 70 messages. I looked through them and I replied, forgetting, oh fuck, they're all in the UK.
By the way, for those of you that think that Lois is in different surroundings, she's actually in a cupboard.
Yeah.
In a cupboard.
She's in a
In the
cupboard.
broom cupboard.
Broom cupboard.
Right.
Yeah.
I must admit, right, I'm coming out in Ania, finally.
You are.
What you said? I thought you were going to say you're coming out.
Well,
He does look like Mr. Tumblr. Mr. Tumblr, is it?
well. He's giving me a complex for moving tonight. How's Lois no in bed? Because I feel like the other half.
Yeah, she's been kicked out into the cupboard.
I have not, mister.
Steve is currently doing Starfish.
Yeah.
Steve's got a new bird. She's out.
I've got a fair choice tonight. I've got Viv, Dan, Ian, Nick, Dan. You know, the choices are all spoiled.
Oh, I've just realised I've got another hat here.
There you go then.
Oh.
Perfect.
So, Nick, what are you doing for Halloween?
So, let's see, what do I got? Well, actually, tomorrow I got 2 Halloween parties that I'm going to be going to. One that's being hosted by a company that the guys that I know there was nice enough to invite me on to. And then right after that, my sister is having a Halloween party of her own.
Oh,
Wow.
brilliant.
Yeah, and then see, it's going to be fun for the next couple of days because then Sunday, Jenny from Ireland, she's having an online Halloween party of her own. I'm sure you guys might have heard about that already. And then Lois, I know you know this. I've also been invited to Jacqueline's Halloween show. Yeah,
You'll see me again on Monday. You lucky ducky.
Lucky ducky.
Yeah, she'll
Wow.
be on the staircase by then.
but then after,
Lois,
Yeah,
he's not a duck. He's not a
Hi,
duck.
Irene.
He's a
yeah,
cockroach.
Irene. Oh.
Oh. Hey, Irene, you might find me on top of the tumble dryer. This time make it all different.
Oh my
But
God.
aside from these shows, though, I mean, in terms of like the actual holiday, I mean, I actually will be working, but only till 1 o'clock. But it's my intention because we get to dress up in costume, so it's one of the few days of work where it's fun to work. And then later in the afternoon, I'm going to have a couple of friends of mine coming out over here, and we're going to have kind of like a little Halloween party of our own. So there's a lot going on.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah,
Your social diary is full capacity.
I also want to show you guys this quickly too. Just a few days ago, got the latest edition of Nightmare Soup.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Midnight.
Yes.
The
Nice.
stories are creepier. Certainly, also some even gross, and certainly longer stories too. So this is what we'll be focusing on starting for 2023.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
Nick.
Cool.
Read that. Nick.
Yes, I know. I saw your message, Jeremy. I do know about the clocks changeover. Yep.
I had to remind Jeremy earlier on today. I think he forgot.
I actually forgot, to be fair. And I'm over here.
Don't
Yeah.
celebrate Halloween, but she does in Japan.
Good on you, Irene.
What about
Good,
you? What about
good.
the rest of you? What you doing for Halloween?
Me, I'm out investigating the True Crime Museum with Barry Guy.
Oh, that'd be
brilliant.
cool.
Nice.
Oh,
True
sounds
crime, that
good.
was
Nice.
So that'll be
Nice.
my 4th time down there, so let's see what happens this time.
Very nice.
See
My
if I can
Halloween
get
started
AVP.
yesterday. My
Halloween
Halloween.
kind of pretty much started a few days on the 25th for me, because though it's not even the actual holiday, there were employees that were already dressing up in costume and makeup.
I had to do a whole day. I did 14 tarot readings, and then I
Wow.
did gallery
Jeez.
readings in the evening, and then I did shadowing with spirit in the evening to raise charity for a company's charity. So I did that for them. So today I'm knackered. I've stayed in my pajamas all day. Look at this.
Don't blame you.
Stark. Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
we've got mine on as well.
Yes.
And then we're away. We're doing a road trip, Viv, aren't we?
We are.
We're off to Wales to investigate.
We're going to
Nice.
investigate. We're going to investigate some sheep.
We are.
Sheep.
Yeah. Wales.
In Wales, the Welsh apparently do naughty, rude things with sheep. Nick.
All right, so they'll be taking his waders.
I was going to say, should I even be afraid to ask?
Yeah, that's what they're known as in Wales. For the things
sheep shaggers.
because they wear Wellingtons and they put the back legs in the feet of their Wellingtons and then hold them upright. Apparently,
Yeah, they take what they do is they walk the sheep to the cliff edge, because apparently it's a better experience once the animal pushes back.
They say about never go back.
right? What do you think about Welsh and what they do with sheep?
Well, I always thought it weren't wellies, it were waders. You know, that come up to stuff them down waders. But, like, can't get away with them.
What are you up to, Brian?
Me?
Yeah, what are you up to over the Halloween? You doing anything?
Not a great deal. As I said, my jalopy's off at road, so otherwise I would be out investigating.
Yeah.
You guys, unfortunately, but
Yeah,
I might
we're
have popped through to Wales.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the hunt. We're on the hunt for ghost sheep.
Yeah,
We
well,
are.
it's something.
Do you know, you should put that in the Jarry Doom. Ghost sheep.
Ghost sheep.
Ghost sheep. Yeah.
Ghost sheep.
Oh,
Yeah, Jeremy, it's the same thing for me. Every day's Halloween for me. That's what he
Well,
said.
we will see the sheep as orbs because they're just white,
What fluffy orbs.
white fluffy orbs, poofs,
Woolly ghosts.
woolly ghosts.
That's true.
That's
30 deeds done with sheep.
Exactly, Jason.
What
Put
about
that in the
animals?
white wheels.
What about animals that connected to paranormal? And all these horses that are seen that come from the war era, seen and heard.
Yes.
We touched on that overnight.
What's your preference with sheep? You can't sing Bar
Mint
Bar Black.
salts.
You can't sing Bar Bar Black Sheep anymore, which is a shame.
I like them with mint sauce.
Well, you can if he's
Oh.
black.
Do you
That
know
song
my
is I was gonna say that song is not the black sheep of the family.
No, you can't say that anymore. No, you can't say that.
That's
Do you
how
know
you
my nephew? My nephew, like he's never forgotten the time when I said to him, obviously he's like, Auntie Lou, look at these sheep. And I says, aye. I said, they're waiting for the Morrison's truck to go to Morrison's. And I totally innocently forgot about it. And he went in and he told his nursery. He was like, they must have been talking about sheep. And he said, yeah, my Auntie Lou told me that they wait for the Morrison's truck. I was mortified. I was like, oh no.
Sheep ghosts jumping over the big Poor little sheep.
Or else the sheep in my dreams, they've turned into sheep ghosts. I guess that means you won't be counting sheep anymore.
You're gonna have to count goats instead.
Goats
or ghosts.
Or sheep ghosts.
By the way, Dan, I told Chantel I sold you for a goat last week.
Did you? What did she say? You got ripped off?
No, she turned it and she said, Bri, Lois just called you a sheep.
Iggy's getting on my nerves now, so I'm going to sit Iggy down over here. Oh.
I was going to say, it's too bad.
I'll tell you what, guys, what's your favourite films for Halloween? What's your favourite Halloween film? No Halloween is in Michael Myers, but in a general sense.
Yeah.
Anything porn.
Debbie Does Dallas.
That's great, yeah.
Favourite Halloween film? It was on the other night. It was called The Omen.
Yes. Wait, what?
Great.
The original or remake?
The original.
All right.
No. Ooh.
It's that little boy you just want to punch in the face. He's got that face, you just want to punch him one. Never mind about the scaring, let's just punch him.
Just throw holy water at him.
Yeah. I like The Fog.
The Fog, yeah.
Yeah, I like The Fog. That's a good one.
Yeah, Halloween, though. Halloween. I mean, we all associate Halloween with witches and things like that. I think good old Witches of Eastwick. I think that's a good one.
Oh, that's a great film.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That's a great one.
For Halloween, definitely.
For me, my favorite, and there's usually never a Halloween that goes by where I don't see it, and that's undoubtedly Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Right, what about you, Ian?
I quite like Salem's Lot.
Oh, Salem's Lot.
Well, the new one or the original?
The original, yeah.
David Soul. I remember David Soul.
Brilliant.
It was weird seeing him in that film because
I think that was the first actual film, that TV film, that actually made people jump, especially the boy in the coffin.
Well, it scared me when I saw it.
Brilliant.
When he just sat bolt upright.
It's kind of hard to believe it's directed by the same director who did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and later Poltergeist, Toby Hooper.
I think the scariest film I've watched is Exorcist.
Yes.
Because the first time I saw that, I weren't old enough, and I'd gone to local, we call it Bugwood, and you used to be able to get in with sixpence in a jam jar. Sixpence to get in, and you swap this jam jar for a bag of sweets. Obviously, they waived that because it was an adult audience. So I'd take my jam jar thinking I was going to get some sweets and had to hide it. And as we were going in through the foyer, there were a vicar splashing holy water at us. I absolutely crapped myself. I mean, you don't expect that, do you, when you're 15-year-old?
No, you don't.
Woman in Black.
Woman in Black. I've never actually ever seen that movie.
I've actually seen not only that movie, but I don't know if you guys know, there's actually it's based on a play that, and I've seen the play itself. And what's so noticeable about that play, it's not only just the creepiness of it, but unlike what you see in the film with Daniel Radcliffe, the play version, it's noticeable for having extremely, and I'm talking extremely small cast. There's only like 2 actors, and then you got a 3rd actress, which is the woman in black, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
The most horriblest film I've ever witnessed, I've ever seen in my life, and it's still to this day, it gives me, is Driller Killer.
Driller Killer, yes.
Killer was banned.
Yeah, it's a video
But it's
nasty.
the noise of the drill going, and you know what's coming, and it's like, nah, turn it off.
I must admit, the film that I find the most creepiest, and I watched it out of pure curiosity, was the Human Centipede.
Oh,
Human
It's the-
Centipede, my
that
God.
was
It's
sick.
the second one that creeps the fuck out me. See, when that's just that guy. Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I've got that on DVD.
Oh no.
And I think that Driller Killer, Viv, I think there's a manga, a Japanese manga version of that. That is absolutely
I
good.
think that was Itchy the Killer. I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
That might have been. I've never seen it, but I think I know that might be the right film.
Yeah.
I think some of the
good.
sickest films out there, and I think Dan will agree with me, is any Korean. The Koreans make the sickest horror films.
Japanese too.
Oh.
Japanese make
Yeah.
terrifying
Yeah.
ones as well.
What?
Yeah.
I think, right, you know, I don't like, see, when everybody goes for the big hit horror movies, I love going on to Prime and I love finding B movies. And do you know what? The most best ones I've ever seen are the ones that are foreign.
Yes.
Like horror wise. I can always remember there was this one set in France and it was actually based on a true life story. And I watched it out of curiosity and it was really brilliant. It was. It really, really was. Oh, Chantal!
Hey, Chantal.
Oh, Chantal in the house. Go on, Dan.
Chantal, woo, woo, woo.
He's not doing his falsetto tonight.
Come on, do your falsetto, Dan.
Chantal in the house. Chantal in the house.
That is funny.
Scary.
Great to see you, Chantal. I missed you.
But yeah, it's like, but yeah, I think like I love sitting in Prime and watching like movies that that I've like quite like that one that's different. It is really, really different, and I found a lot of what I'm really getting into is a lot of the found footage.
Yes.
I didn't know that, Jeremy. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was by the same one in Dark Water, much
I did
like
not
The
know
Ring.
that.
Much like The Ring, Dark Water was a Japanese horror film before they made the American version. It's funny to think with the American version of Dark Water, it stars the actress who was originally in Labyrinth when she was a teenager. It's the same actress.
Do you know what? Not what film gave me nightmare for? Well, I had 9 months of nightmares, and that was Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, that's a
That
classic.
terrified you, didn't it?
Seeing
I
it on the
love
big
Hellraiser.
screen. Seeing it on the big screen in the cinema, I had to force myself to go to sleep because I just couldn't watch it. And then I had nightmares. And then somebody thought they'd buy me the DVD for Christmas, which I would never play. And then at Christmas, I was also given a big poster of Pinhead to put over my bed because they thought that would help me with my nightmares and settle me down. It didn't. And it wasn't until I met the actor himself.
Doug Bradley.
I met Doug Bradley and I walked up to his desk and I said to him, "You're the reason I've had nightmares for 9 months. I think it's pretty disgusting." And he walked around the table, come over, gave me the biggest hugs. And he said, "You stay there, don't go away." And he was signing people's autographs and things. And he sat down with me for about 20 minutes, just chatting away as if he'd knew me for years. He signed my, it's a box of DVDs, and he put kisses in it, and he said, "Love from your Cenobite, Doug Bradley," and and he calmed me right down. He said, "Vivian, it's only a film; it's not real, you know."
That is awesome.
But he's such a lovely man, and for me, when they brought in this new Pinhead, it's not the same. I've lost interest now, so. to me, Doug Bradley will always be Pinhead, and such a wonderful man and actor. I love him.
One other movie I could think of, by the way. First off, yeah, that's awesome, though, Vivian. I wish I could take your spot for that, because that would have been awesome. There was one other movie I was just thinking of, and Lois, this kind of talks about what you were saying about like a lot of the foreign films. You guys ever seen a movie? I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard about it. You guys ever heard of a movie that's called Inside? It came out in the early I think it was 2007. It's a French horror film, and from what I've heard, it is undoubtedly one of the goriest movies ever made. I mean, it is just like unbelievable. and what the movie, the long story short, I mean, it focuses on a young woman who's home alone on Christmas. So it's also like a Christmas horror film too. But she's being stalked by this woman. And the only thing I'm just going to say is the title Inside actually has two meanings to it. One of them being the obvious. She's trying to get inside the house, but there's something else that she's trying to get into. And I think I'll let the film speak for itself. I'll just only give you the hint. This woman who's left by herself, she's pregnant. So, like I said, that's all I'm going to say. But they say the amount of gore is just, again, unbelievable. It's very Grand Guignol style.
I mean, my first horror movie ever, I can remember that they were talking about Bant films. I can't remember if it was Film 4 or Channel 4. And I thought it would be a good idea to sit and watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And my God, I did not sleep for months after it. But do you know, it's one of my favourite films ever, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That, the 2003, and The Beginning.
I've got all
three favourites.
I've just thought of one, Lois. Nosferatu, the original.
I don't like it. I don't like
creepy,
it.
Don't it?
You don't like it?
No, because
Creepy.
I find Nosferatu and White Zombie, I forced myself to watch the films, and it took me a couple of goes because they're non-speaking films. I found them to be so boring. And then later on, I got to love White Zombie for what it was. But Nosferatu, I have an issue with. I don't know why. I just think, no, I don't like it.
That was the first one, wasn't it? The first vampire to come up right from his coffin.
Yep. It was
just
of course,
creepy.
One of the first, of course, real adaptations of Dracula. And originally it was going to be called Dracula itself, but because even back in 1922, they still had copyright, so they couldn't use that title. But did you guys ever hear that movie actually almost did get destroyed? Did you guys ever hear this? Yeah, because apparently, I guess Stoker's wife, because Stoker had passed away 10 years earlier, and she had the rights to the title Dracula on the story. And when they made this film, they just went, it was released obviously throughout Europe. And then when she found out, she was not happy about it. So she, sued the company that made it, and she won the lawsuit. And she ordered all the copies of Nosferatu to be destroyed. But there was, and although it was believed originally it was completely gone, but there was one copy and one copy left that they were able to keep hidden. And that eventually made its way overseas. And then eventually we had our release of Nosferatu for United States, Canada, and Mexico in 1929. And it was one of the last successful silent movies to be released, for the U.S. especially, because 1929 was obviously the year when we started converting to sound. So if not for that one copy, we would never have Nosferatu anymore.
I do like, I must say, I think like more on a comedy side of things, but I do like the Russ Abbott and Costello meets Dracula and Frankenstein.
And
those,
Costello,
I think they're brilliant. I mean, those guys, they made me laugh just as much as Laura and Hardy did, if not more, because they were so bloody stupid, them two.
I always preferred Abbott and Costello.
But those kind of horror films, the what I call the comedy ones, they always get forgotten about. But those, Abbott and Costello were like comedians that were massive before their time. They were before them time. Them two.
I love Rowan Hardy, but Abbott and Costello they were the ones for me as a kid.
Was
the one they done? The Who's on Fourth? I can't remember what it was.
It was on fourth base.
Who's on Fourth? That's brilliant. Genius. Who's on fourth? Yeah, who's on fourth? I'm asking who's on fourth.
Jeremy said Nosferatu really helped transcend the horror genre. That's absolutely.
But it did.
Did you guys ever hear there was an urban legend also about that movie, about the actor who played Count
Yes.
Warlock? They said his performance was so creepy and unsettling that it led to this local legend that supposedly he really was a vampire. And even without his makeup, he just looked creepy looking. And in 2000, they even made a movie based on that legend, claiming he was a vampire.
And he was creepy in that, wasn't he?
He was.
I've always wondered, what would Vlad the Impaler himself make of all these horror films about Dracula? I think he'd spike the lot of them, wouldn't he?
I'll tell you what, if you ever go to Transylvania, because I worked there for a few years and lived over there for a while, if you ever go to Transylvania, do not mention vampires in the same as Vlad the Impaler, because Vlad the Impaler over there is a national hero.
Yeah,
He protected them from the Turks.
Yep, you guys gotta have. If you guys remember Tim Kohler, you gotta have him on because he is the guy who will talk everything to you guys about Vlad the Impaler. He is a real storyteller about Vlad the Impaler.
Dragon.
Draco, yeah.
Dragon.
Mm-hmm. Do you know
Order of the Dragon?
Do you know the most disappointing film I watched recently was, because I seen it when it was in horrors, was The House and Haunted Hill, the original. I thought I watched that, right, and I got to the very end, I turned it off and I went, what the biggest load of shite. I was expecting, something, because people used to rhyme on and on and on about it, and I was like, I've never ever seen it all, Louise, you've got to watch it, brilliant film, it's best film ever. And I sat and I watched it and I was like, what the biggest load of pish.
I thought the same with the film Valak, about the haunted nun. Valak.
Yep.
What a load of rubbish. Wasted my time. I could never get that back. Bloody Valak. Ugh.
A Korean film did that to me once. It was called Slasher, and I'd set in the Netflix as a reminder, and I thought, I just had watched Squid Game days beforehand, and I thought, it can't go wrong. I bet you this is a good film. Watched it, and oh my God, I was like, after half an hour, I wanted to turn it off, and Stephen was like, no, you will watch it. You put this on, you will watch it. And I got to the very end, and I went, oh my God, I'll never get my life back after that.
I'll tell you what, I watched the film the other day, I just had to look it up, I couldn't remember the name of it. And it was Lon Chaney's last film, and he was a raging alcoholic by the time he made it. And it's a classic, cult classic. I've never even heard of it before. Spider Baby.
Spider Baby?
Never heard of that.
It's the creepiest film. Creepy. Wow. Black and white. 1964 or something it was made. But it was directed by Jack Hill. It was terrifying. It was just creepy.
Nick, you've got to watch
it. You've got to watch it
because I've never heard of that one before.
No, I hadn't. And then I saw somebody mention it on YouTube, and I thought I'll have a look for that. And it came up, and I thought, I've got to watch this. And I watched it. And it was proper. It was like, it's more to do with he's looking after a family, but they're kind of inbred, but half of them are mental, and they're psychopaths or sociopaths. And he's got to try and keep a cap on it. It's an amazing film.
I like check it out as well. Based on a true one, that.
Do you know what? I love Friday nights because we're supposed to talk about one subject and then it just goes right up there.
I'm going to connect the two, Lois, because Andy made me watch a film, and it's supposed to be a war film, and it started off as a war film, and then it ended up having Nazi zombies in it.
Nazi zombies?
No.
What
it was. And then I had to go and investigate Rougham afterwards. And so that played on my mind. I was like, don't leave me alone. Don't leave me alone. I had to be with somebody all night because I kept thinking about these Nazi zombies, because as much as it was a bit weird, the fact that the Nazis turned into zombies, it just, I just couldn't get my head around that.
For you. See if there was a zombie eclipse, what would you have as a weapon?
Ian. have Ian would be my secret weapon because he knows about having a sage fag. He'd know these other little secret things. So I don't.
You're carrying a brain in a jar because just throw it one way, the zombie are chasing you, leg it the other.
There you go. You see.
Taking Ian. Ian would be my weapon.
I'll tell you one I have watched that it wasn't what I expected at all. I was expecting a good, fright. I got a fright, all right. One-eyed monster.
One-eyed monster.
Yeah, that's Lois, isn't
People
it?
under the stairs.
Sounds like a penis joke.
And then when you call somebody a fool, you got to say foo, foo, because that's from People Under the Stairs, the little kid in it.
Yeah.
Oh, People Under the Stairs, yeah.
He couldn't say
Stephen
fool.
King, Wes Craven movie.
Yeah, he couldn't say fool. He said foo. So when I tell Andy he's a fool, I call him a foo. And he gets me.
Oh, The Others is another really
that's
good one.
a
Yes.
brilliant movie. I
That
love
left me like whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez.
First time round watching that, you just don't see it coming, do you?
You don't.
I like the People Under the Stairs better because it's got that element of sadomasochism. I think it's brilliant. Sorry.
I like
You know
sci-fi,
what?
as well. Good sci-fi, such as Signs and things like that. They're brilliant.
Aye, the Signs was good.
Yeah.
Nick's favourite is Children of the Corn.
Good
With
film, that.
with a little shake of
Good
cockroaches in
film,
there.
that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Village
No
of the Damned.
thanks.
There you
Why
go.
that
It's a
wasn't
damn
put in the-
amazing film.
Yeah.
Another movie I could think of that it's actually one of my dad's all-time favorites is actually does deal with creepy kids in it too is Village of the Damned, along with its unofficial sequel Children of the Damned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Have
that's
you been
like-
to England, Nick?
What's that?
Have you been to England, Nick? That's normal.
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet, but I've been wanting to.
Do you know what? I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, I agree with Ian. That's
What
what
about- We even have green children. If you go to Woolpit, you might find a couple
Woolpit,
of
yeah.
Oh
green
my
children.
God.
Their skin was green.
Do their
Over here,
eyes glow? Do their eyes glow too? Because
I don't
that's what
know.
happens in Village of the Damned.
But
Yeah.
the classic one I got to mention is American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Ah, good
Right.
film.
You
Class
can't get
film.
nothing better than that. I mean,
Good
it's
film.
just London personified. That is.
You know what's
The Americans bringing over that horrible stuff over here, and they get what they get.
It's funny to think it was directed by the same director who John Landis, who just years earlier did Animal House and the Blues Brothers. And did you guys know the script of that movie, American Werewolf in London, is actually older than the movie itself? Did you guys ever hear that?
No?
So the effects that were created, which was by Rick Baker, who's still to this day one of the best special effects makeup artists. When they started putting together this movie, they really had to think, like, how are they going to do a transformation sequence involving a werewolf? They weren't going to go like with how they did, with the Wolfman back in the 40s. They wanted to try to make it as realistic as possible. Well, understandably, that was going to take a lot of time to figure out. So it turns out John Landis revealed in an interview that he actually wrote and gave Rick Baker the script back in 1971. So they had a lot of time to figure out how they were going to make this movie. They didn't start filming it until 10 years later in 1981. Yeah, he had a hard time getting that movie Greenland. Plus, they were involved in other projects during that decade.
I'm looking at Jeremy's picture.
That's his new cover album.
Oh, is it? That's when he's had hair. That's a lie. He's not as good looking as that anymore.
Good man.
Is that because he had his hair cut?
Yeah, Nick's my number one guy now.
I did see Jeremy out during this weekend at Para Unity. His hair is actually already starting to grow back.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but no, that's it. He's been knocked off the top spot now. I've got a new number one man in my life, and it's called Nick. Sorry, he's number two. He's number two now.
The best film, right, to watch, right, it's called VHS. And basically,
VHS!
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The first one's great, second one's great, the third one freaks me out. I can't listen to it. It's like it plays one of the classical tunes and I can't listen to it because it gives me the fear because of when it's driving with the ice cream van and it's going zoom and then it starts playing that tune and when I hear it now it gives me the creeps. I'm like, no, I just don't.
That's my
be another one, Jeepers
Nick, I've heard of that one,
Jeepers
Annette.
Creepers, another good one.
Jeepers.
Yes.
Yes.
I discovered recently that Jeepers Creepers is actually based on a true life story that
So did
actually
I.
happened.
Yeah.
I just found that out too a few days ago.
Oh,
Lois.
was that the one where the guy drives along the road and the van overtakes him
Yeah.
and dumps the body?
There's like an old truck that like
yeah.
hits him.
They come, but the guy murders his wife, doesn't he, in the van?
No, he doesn't murder his wife. He murders
No.
a whole bunch of people. It's like this demonic creature simply called the Creeper, and as they say in the story, he comes out every 23rd spring and hunts for 23 days.
Is that there's one, isn't there, where there's an old van that overtakes the car, and there's a couple in it, and they see the car overtaking them, and then what happens is they then turn around because they carry on a bit further, then they see the van parked by the side of a school, and there's a guy around there digging a hole, so they come back.
Rutger Hauer film.
What?
That's Rutger Hauer in that film. Rutger Hauer, the blonde man that goes around killing people. No,
this is a different one. I think, Viv. This
No,
is
you put me one to
so what they
sing
do, they go
Jeepers
back
Creepers.
and they walk around by the school. By this time, the guy's gone, but then they phone the police, and the police chase him, and I think he kills himself in the end. But the blood's all over the van. He's picked the wife up from his. He was a doctor, I think.
It does
He
sound
picked the
familiar.
wife up from home. Meant to pick the boy up because he had visiting rights. Grabbed the mother, took the mother, killed her, and I'm thinking, did he kill himself? No, he was going to kill himself, but he didn't, and he got executed for it.
Was.
But that was. I think that was the Jeepers Creepers where they see him down a well. He's putting something down a well.
And then they go and check. He goes and checks it out, and then he slides right down into the tunnel, and he just.
Isn't there a van or something involved in that?
There's a truck, but there's not a well. It's a basement.
That was what it was from. That's what that's based. The idea of where the van overtakes him and they see him doing something with the body is from the real life crime that was carried out with the.
Yeah.
But
right. I get you now, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I want to burst out in song with the Jeepers and Creepers song.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love
Jeremy
that.
says, "Give me 6 months, and my hair will be longer than Nick's." I think if you're up to it, I think we should bring out a calendar with all the show hosts on a month for every month, and Nick should be the front cover. Not Nick. Jeremy should be the front cover. Well, yeah, actually, Nick should be the pin-up guy. You know.
There I can see Nick with the Calvin Klein's on.
Yeah, with his cape.
Hey Lois, really quickly, is this what you were talking about?
Oh yes, I love that song. Do you know? I'm not ashamed to admit I've got that in my playlist.
That's not the one that terrifies you.
It's on my Halloween music list.
Absolutely love that.
Annette mentioned one as well. Mimic, that's a good one.
Mimic. I'm sure I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny to think of the song Jeepers Creepers. Like if you were alive back in 1938 when it came out, you'd probably think, "Oh, that's actually a pretty fun song." Then you fast forward to like 2001 when the first one came out, like, "Oh my god, that's terrifying now."
Do you know what song I actually find, and it was through TikTok, was Tiptoe Through the Tulips?
Tiny Tim,
and oh my god, that guy, I watched like him performing it. He went on to a show and performed it, but it was well years ago. And my god, see when I first heard that, I thought, oh, that's a really good song. I says that lady was really good until I actually went and watched the video, and my god, that guy we are fossil.
do you know what? He's an absolute sweetheart, that man. He was an absolute sweetheart, that man. Really, really lovely guy. I think he got buried, didn't he, with his ukulele?
Really?
He died on stage, bless him, didn't he?
Hair. I must admit, he had beautiful hair. I was quite jealous how curly his hair was.
But they used that in the what if they used that in a horror film, didn't they?
Insidious.
Insidious. With the demon, yes.
The red face demon, yeah.
That's it. He was dancing by the radiogram, wasn't he, as he was playing the music?
Yeah. There's a new one coming out, by the way, a new Insidious movie. I think either later this year or next year. What they're doing is they're actually going back to the original cast, like with the family, like with the kid who had the. Now it's going to be him growing up, is because obviously several years have gone by since the original film, and now he's like a college student. So they're bringing back like most of the original cast from the first movie.
That'd be cool.
So that'll be interesting to see what it'll be like now that the kid's grown up. The same exact actor. That'll be interesting.
It's good.
Do you know what annoys me? Was they brought out this horror film that told a story about a Dybbuk box, right?
The Possession.
And then this guy comes forward and says, it was based on this Dybbuk box. It's a true story, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, everyone in the paranormal has got their hands on a Dybbuk box, which I think these people just grow up, So I think that Hollywood have got a lot to play with paranormal investigators being a bit sort of naive and stupid. If they want to believe that, that's fine. But don't then instill it on other people. Yes, this is true. This happened. And blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't.
The thing is, they have a load of people, followers, that they swallow it up.
I know.
It's amazing. It's like, no.
This is going off topic, but do you realise that they've just made a new film? It happened to come up the other night when in the middle of me watching Airsoft, because I hate YouTube now for adverts, and it flashed up, and I think it called She Said, and it's about Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, God, I've seen a lot of his stuff, And
I'm just like, oh my God, it was like he's already making film based on that.
It's
who's
one
making
thing.
That though? Sorry,
no, you're good, Dan. No, I was just gonna say it's one thing when, like, for example, in that movie, The Possession came out about the Dybbuk box, based on that. It's one thing when you have, like, literally the actual witnesses, like the actual owners of the Dybbuk box, come forward and talk about, because like around that same time, like for example, there was an episode of Paranormal Witness that covered the Dybbuk box. That's one thing to have those people, but then when everybody else starts talking about saying, well, I got a Dybbuk box too, this is what's happening, it just goes downhill very quickly.
It does.
Yeah.
Here's annoying me.
The haunted doll thing.
It was mad.
A war-themed film. And I seem to remember a film with Dean Cain. That was to do with a horse. And he woke up years later and he tried to trace his family back into war. That's a bit of a ghost story, but I can't remember the title of it. Anybody else? Dean Cain. I'm sure it was Dean Cain. From the Mount, is it?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, I think I might have seen it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rings a
but
bell.
like the Annabelle dolls, the Annabelle films, how stupid are they? Because, like, for a start, it was a Raggedy Ann doll. And then I honestly, love me or hate me, I don't care. I thank God that Zach Bagans actually touched the thing just to prove that you're going to die if you touch Annabelle doll thing. It doesn't exist. That sort of disproves what the Warrens are saying about this doll. Again, could they have been too involved with Hollywood and wanting to make so much money and get the fame so they could do more? I don't know. But again, Hollywood has picked up this story about Annabelle, and now the haunted doll thing just exploded. And to me, I've never heard of anything so ridiculous in my life.
No,
the only Annabelle film I really liked, honestly, more than any of the other films, was their the last one that they made, because at least that actually kind of focused more on the Warrens case, but also more importantly, despite its name, in my opinion, it really didn't focus very much on the doll itself. It focused on all the possessions that the Warrens had. And of course, obviously, with all due respect, I love the ending of that tribute where they paid honor for Lorraine Warren because, you know, obviously that was right around the time when she passed away, and they showed that fantastic photo of the real family.
Yeah, I sit on the fence when it comes to the Warrens because they brought out the film, The Conjuring, and they talked about the Enfield haunting.
Yep.
Okay. And when it came to the Enfield haunting by the people that were there, we have proof and documented evidence that the Warrens had nothing to do with the Enfield haunting. They knocked on the door and they were told, F off, you know, we don't want you here. And they were sent away with a flea in their ear. And so, you know, they jumped onto this Enfield haunting story. The Warrens did themselves, which I think was wrong. I just don't like it when people lie. It's just no need for it. I just think there's no need for it because it was such a big case and it was worldwide. The news went out worldwide. They felt that they needed to muscle in on that. It was being looked after already.
I think the thing is that when one lie comes up, then you have trouble trusting everything else that surrounds them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I'm not big on them myself. I mean, she seemed like quite a sweet woman.
Yeah.
I've seen her on TV and she seemed like a lovely, lovely lady, bless her. But yeah, but I don't know, and I'm not going to, you know, I dare say she did have the ability, but I don't think that half of the stuff that was professed to have happened never happened to them. I don't think.
When's the
Bless you.
Excuse me. Well, the only investigator
seemed lovely.
The only investigator I really think actually was legit, like at all in like the Conjuring film when it focused on the Enfield haunting was because he's been featured, you know, in a lot of the documentaries. Is I can't remember. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. Maurice Gross or Gross.
Gross.
Yeah, he was, to me, in my opinion, after watching some of the documentaries, what he said was probably far more legit than what supposedly the Warren said, because you could tell that he really did probably spend more time in that area investigating than if the Warrens ever did at all, because he's got a lot of the EVP recordings. So, you know, if anything, they should have more focused in on him than the Warrens.
Yeah.
He's my absolute hero. He is Maurice Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Right, guys, I need to bail out the now.
Yeah, I have too.
Thank you for tonight, everyone, and thanks,
Thanks,
Lois.
Lois, I'll see you Monday.
See you later.
I'm going to pay as well, guys. So I'll see you all. I'll see you all next week or something.
Bye.
Take it easy, guys. Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.